Very confusing topic today. Lots of confusion, and we are going to end the confusion, Cyrus. Is that right?
Well, okay. It's confusing because the world makes things confusing. Sometimes humans overcomplicate simple subjects. Cholesterol metabolism does not have to be complicated, and it actually isn't confusing, but it just happens to be that way right now because there's a lot of people being like, hey, listen to me, listen to me. So
what you're saying is the science is very clear. Once you understand what the research says, you understand how to, treat your own body, how to eat, how to interpret your blood results. It makes sense.
Absolutely. I'm also saying that chickpeas are extremely tasty. Do you guys like chickpeas?
Boom. Look at that.
I apologize. I'm not trying to eat on the webinar, but this bowl of chickpeas just appeared, and I don't have self-control when they come around.
There's nothing you can do about that.
Never.
So, guys, there is a poll that has been launched. Let us know what type of diabetes you are living with. And also let us know in the chat box where you're coming from. So what special city are we looking for tonight, Cyrus?
Do you want a city or a country?
I want a city inside of a country.
Okay. Thank you. Today, you will get, what are you going to get? What are they going to get? You're going to get something cool. I don't really know what it is. If you are from Bali.
Bali! I think that could happen. There could be somebody from Bali. Hey, Siri, what time is it in Bali right now?
In Denpasar, Indonesia. It's 8 a.m.
8 a.m. That's totally reasonable.
Oh, perfect. If you're from Bali, don't lie. We don't like untruthful people. Tell us. So tell us where you're from. If you're from Bali, you're going to win a special prize tonight. If you're not from Bali, then
the prize is so special we can't even tell you what it is.
We got Kevin from Oxford, Marianne from King of Prussia, right next to where Kylie grew up. Gina from Mid-Atlantic, Kathy from Pennsylvania. Lots of Pennsylvania people.
Impressive.
Right, you want to launch the poll, Robbie? See what kind of people.
I've seen it's launched. Answers are coming in. I have seen a lot of people from the United Kingdom as well on here. It's fascinating. Somebody said no audio. Like if there's anytime you ever come to a webinar and for whatever reason something's not working, just log out and log back in. That usually fixes it.
Okay, I'm seeing something very interesting here.
Okay, let's see it.
40% of all the people that are attending right now don't have diabetes, and it makes perfect sense. This webinar is about cholesterol metabolism. So if you're here to learn about cholesterol metabolism, if you don't have diabetes, it's totally fine. Cholesterol metabolism becomes an even more important subject when you're living with diabetes. But if you don't have it, it's totally fine. Hopefully we can still clear up a lot of confusion for you as well.
No question about it. We got San Diego, California in the house. I like it. New York is representing strong. Indiana.
We got Roberto from Australia. That's pretty cool. Nice work.
Fantastic.
Welcome, Roberto.
Love it.
We were just talking about people in Australia. We like Australians. Okay. This is good. We got 224 people here already, which is awesome.
We're keen on Australians.
We're sure. Nice work. Do you reckon so?
I have a friend he lives in the UK and he does an American accent, and it is so funny when people try and do our accent.
So, just so you guys know, this webinar is a makeup of the webinar that we tried to do, I think 2 to 3 weeks ago. Yeah. We had some audio video difficulties. We sincerely apologize for that, but we figured this information is so important and so misunderstood. We want to put on another webinar where we cover a lot of the same information. We're also going to do a lot of Q&A today because I'm assuming that there's a lot of you who have very poignant questions. If you have questions, put them directly in the chat box. We have our team members, Jose and Kylie, who are going to be running through questions, and we're going to try and get to all of them at the end, or as many as we can at the end. And we hope you guys have a great experience here.
And we're going to take a live phone call or two as well. So if you want to actually talk to us, you want to ask a question on the phone, we're going to make that happen. You can put your phone number in at any time during the webinar, and our team in the background is going to collect that number, and you'll be on the list to potentially get a phone call. So that's an option.
Okay, so we got 246 people. So how do you feel about starting this bad boy up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Take a screen share here.
End poll.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, cholesterol 101. You can maybe get rid of that bar at the bottom. Yeah, the high. There you go.
So, okay, here we go. Cholesterol 101. So today's, like we talked about, today's webinar is all about cholesterol, the ins, the outs, what's true, what's not true. Let's get to the bottom of some really important information. Here's what we're going to cover. Basically 5 things. Does cholesterol in your food actually affect cholesterol in your blood? There's a lot of people that tell you that the two of them have nothing to do with each other. We'll clear that up. We'll also talk about large, fluffy LDL cholesterol and the significance of large, fluffy versus small, dense LDL cholesterol, because, again, there's a lot of people who will tell you that LDL is not dangerous if it's large and fluffy. We'll talk about how you can interpret your lipid panel. We'll talk about what HDL cholesterol is and why it's important but not that important. And then we'll talk about triglycerides. So you'll kind of have an opportunity to learn about LDL, and HDL, and triglycerides sort of independently of one another. For those of you who do not know me, this is me on the right-hand side. I tend to not wear a shirt often. I live in Costa Rica and it is extremely hot. You are seeing the debut of a brand new shirt. I'm pretty excited about this. My wife encouraged me to add this to my wardrobe. And if you look closely, you'll actually see these are a bunch of pineapples, which you can only see if you're up close. But this is me in my traditional garb on the right-hand side. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in the year 2002, so that was 17 years ago. I adopted a low-carbohydrate diet for a year. It was very uncomfortable. My blood glucose was all over the place, a random number generator. Glucose high, low, high, low, high, low. Couldn't control it. I switched over to eating a plant-based diet, and by doing that, I was able to reduce my insulin use by 40% and drop my A1C levels to this, non-diabetic range of between 5.4 and 5.7%. And I was able to do that within the first 6 months of transitioning to a plant-based diet. But the beauty is that not only is my insulin use very low and my glucose low, but I'm doing it by eating a tremendous number of carbohydrate grams per day. This 700, 600, 700 grams per day is what the average person with diabetes would eat in a week or maybe even a month. And so I was so excited by this transformation that was happening inside of me that I put myself back to graduate school to go get a PhD. And so I learned the ins and outs of nutritional biochemistry. And I'm a pretty happy camper at this point in my life.
Cyrus, I got to tell you, based on the numbers you have there, based on the calculations I've done on a specific day, there are times where at one meal, you and I will eat over 200 grams of carbohydrate in that one meal. Mm-hmm. And that is more than somebody on a low carbohydrate diet where they're maxing out at 30 grams per day will eat in an entire week.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we're eating more grams of carbohydrate in one meal than people will eat in a week.
Yes, it happens frequently around here. Uh-huh. So anyways, my name is Robbie Barbero, and I also am living with type 1 diabetes. Coming up this January 26th will be my 20th anniversary, diaversary. My 20th year living with type 1 diabetes.
Very nice work, my man.
Thank you, Cyrus. And I tried many different diets over the years, and I have found the best success, the highest level of insulin sensitivity on a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet, where I get to eat all the foods that previously were forbidden, told that I should not. I should limit. As you can see on that plate right there, I eat a lot of figs. I love figs. It's actually been a great fig season this year. It's coming to an end, but persimmons are in season. So guys, these are persimmons right here. That's a high chia persimmon. There's fuyu persimmons. There's giant fuyus. There's chocolate persimmons. They're really good foods. But anyways, my current A1C is 5.3%. Also a big thing, which is becoming more and more popular in the type 1 diabetes world, is tracking time in range. I'm proud to say that my 90-day average of time in range right now is 89%. Over the past 14 days, it was 95%. So that's really good time in range.
That's impressive.
So the point is, the A1C is not low because I'm going low all the time. It's because the Mastering Diabetes method results in excellent blood glucose control. Cyrus and I are not special. We just follow the method. So I'm active every day. I have a lot of energy, and I have a lot of passion for sharing this information with others.
I love it.
And tonight we have something. So basically, there's something special going on kind of in the background. And we were having a conversation before this webinar. Are we going to announce it? Are we not going to announce it? And we decided we will tonight. For people who are on this webinar, you are going to hear a special announcement, but only if you stay till the end where you get the information and then the link to get there. So stay with us.
Okay, so here's the first question. What foods cause high cholesterol? Okay, this is a tough question. There's a lot of confusion about what it is. I'm going to give you the answer right now. There are 3 components of your diet which are most strongly correlated with increasing cholesterol. The first one is saturated fat. So foods that contain saturated fat can and are likely to increase your cholesterol. And this component of food, saturated fat, is the most powerful nutrient in food that can elevate your cholesterol level. The second most powerful nutrient in your food that elevates your cholesterol is actually cholesterol itself. So when you're eating cholesterol inside of animal-based foods, then that can also cause your cholesterol to get elevated. In addition to that, animal-based protein, okay, animal proteins that come specifically from the animal world can also elevate your blood glucose. It can elevate your cholesterol at the same time. So number 1 most powerful is saturated fat. Number 2 is cholesterol. Number 3 is animal protein. And I apologize if the 3 of these are slightly out of order. I will fix that next time. Now, most people don't know, or most people are unaware, that saturated fat itself increases your blood cholesterol level independent of cholesterol. Most people think it's just cholesterol, but it's actually not. So where do you get saturated fat? Well, you get it mainly from animal-based foods, like you see on the screen here: red meat, fish. You get it from white meat as well, from chicken. You get it from eggs. You get it from cheese. You get it from dairy products. Saturated fat is all over the place in the animal world. It's very easy to find. And over the course of time, as you eat more and more of it, then your cholesterol level can definitely creep up. Now, it is true that cholesterol itself inside of animal-based foods can also increase your blood cholesterol. It's important to understand a couple of things. Number 1, cholesterol is only found in animal foods. Okay, this statement is actually, technically speaking, not 100% true. The reason is because you can also find cholesterol inside of plant foods, but the amount of cholesterol inside of plant foods is literally 1/100th on average what it is in animal-based foods. And as a result of that, from a biological perspective, it's not a significant component of plant-based foods. So what we say in the plant-based world is that cholesterol is only found in animal foods. And what that really means is that the cholesterol found in animal foods is really the type of cholesterol that will affect your blood cholesterol. And the cholesterol that's found in plant-based foods, again, very, very tiny microscopic amounts, does not play a significant role at all. So here's where cholesterol is found. Number 1, red meat. Number 2, white meat. A lot of clever marketing has led people to believe that white meat contains a much smaller quantity of cholesterol than red meat, but that is actually not the case. Red meat and white meat have almost equivalent amounts of cholesterol. Third, dairy products. This is a very significant source of cholesterol in the diet of most Americans. And then we also have fish and seafood. So again, this is another animal-based food. This comes from the ocean, but fish and seafood also has a significant amount of cholesterol, especially if it comes from shellfish. And then finally, eggs. The yolk of an egg has a very large dose of cholesterol. And the white of an egg is pure protein, but eating the yolk actually increases your cholesterol level significantly. Now, animal protein by itself, independent of cholesterol, independent of saturated fat, can also elevate your blood cholesterol. Okay, and that it does it. And the reason we know this actually is because there are studies that show that when you add animal-based protein to your diet, you can actually increase your blood cholesterol level. So Thomas Campbell, who is the co-author of the China study with his dad, Colin Campbell, has done some very interesting research here, where they fed animals casein. Okay, casein is a protein that is found predominantly in dairy products, and so when you feed animals casein, what you find is that their blood cholesterol goes up. So what they say in this paper, they say generalizing these effects to other animal and plant-based proteins, it's reasonable because there are 12 kinds of animal protein that they tested in addition to casein that all elevated cholesterol levels. And they tested 11 different kinds of plant-based protein and found that those actually decreased cholesterol levels. So it's pretty black or white. Animal-based protein increases cholesterol, plant-based protein decreases cholesterol. Okay, and then what they found here is that casein in particular was 5-fold more atherogenic, which means that it's 5-fold more likely to cause atherosclerosis over the course of 6 months than is plant-based proteins. Now, most people don't actually know that that's the truth, but again, independently of saturated fat, independently of cholesterol, animal-based protein can actually significantly increase your risk for atherosclerosis and elevate your cholesterol level. Now, some people will tell you that your LDL particle size doesn't actually matter. And what they'll say is, you might have heard this before, where people say, oh, don't worry, it's okay if your LDL cholesterol is increasing, because as long as you shift your population of LDL particles towards these large fluffy particles, then everything is okay. Because large fluffy LDL is actually protective against heart disease. So when you're eating it doesn't matter what diet you're eating, whatever diet you're eating, if your population of LDL particles moves from what you see on the left, these large particles, over towards the right, these small dense particles, then your risk for the development of heart disease goes up. But if you shift from the small population to the large population, then what people claim is that your heart disease risk goes down. The question is that true? Now, if you dig a little bit deeper into the research and you actually take a look at studies that are done in large numbers of people over long periods of time, what you'll find is that a collection of studies that investigate over 1 million participants. Okay, so there's not one study that studied 1 million participants, but there's multiple studies that collectively have studied more than 1 million people. And they find that there is a central role, a fundamental central role for LDL in the initiation and the development and the progression of atherosclerosis. Okay, and there's no denying this. So anytime anybody says, LDL does not cause atherosclerosis, LDL does not cause heart disease, that is a skeptical claim. Now, if you look a little deeper and you go look at other studies, what you will find is that both large, fluffy LDL particles and small, dense LDL particles, both of them increase your risk for coronary heart disease events or adverse events. Okay, so what does that mean? Large, fluffy LDL particles increase your risk for heart disease by 31%. Small, dense particles increase your risk for heart disease by 44%. So what people are basically saying is that if you have small, dense particles, then you're at a higher risk for heart disease, which is true. But by no means are large, fluffy particles protective. Okay, both of them increase your risk. It's just that the small, dense particles tend to increase your risk just a little bit more. So simply by playing with language, they make it sound as though a shift from small to large is protective against heart disease, but in reality, it's just less damaging. That's all it is. So in other words, whenever your LDL concentration goes up, regardless of the type of subparticle that you have, your risk for heart disease increases. Small, dense particles increase your risk by 44%. Large, fluffy LDL particles increase your risk by 31%. But take-home message, both types of LDL particles increase your heart disease risk, period, end of story. And here we go, conclusion. Regardless of size, LDL particles are atherogenic. Now, another thing to think about is that as your cholesterol level increases, you can actually develop cholesterol crystals inside of your blood vessels. So what the heck does this mean? Okay, as your cholesterol level goes up, if you look at the inside lining of blood vessels using a very, very, very high-powered microscope, what you will see is that people who have markedly elevated cholesterol actually develop crystals on the inside layer of those blood vessels. And these crystals actually have very sharp and jagged edges. And this can actually cause significant problems down the road because these sharp and jagged edges can actually cause part of the cholesterol plaque, the arterial plaque, to rip off. And when you have an arterial plaque inside of any blood vessel that rips off and then it becomes mobile and it floats in your bloodstream, then that increases your risk for a blood clot. And that is something that you absolutely want to avoid at all costs. So what you want to do is eat a diet that's actually going to eliminate these cholesterol crystals from forming. And when you do that, your risk for these blood clots to form goes down dramatically. So here's a quick, story of one of our members. His name's Bob. And Bob used to look like this over here on your left-hand side. He was obese. He had type 2 diabetes. His cholesterol level was extremely high. His blood pressure was also quite high. So Bob adopted the Mastering Diabetes approach. He basically said he learned some information on a summit. And he said, you know what? How come I've never been taught this before? This sounds very interesting. So he started eating a low-fat plant-based diet, just like we described. And he went from this to this. And he did this in the span of 8 months. So over the course of 8 months, he lost 100 pounds. His fasting blood glucose went from 286, which is way high, all the way down to 90, which is considered non-diabetic. And his A1C fell by 4 points. But in addition to these improvements in his blood glucose, his cholesterol level plummeted. He lost 100 points in his blood cholesterol inadvertently. He wasn't trying for that, but it just happened. And his LDL cholesterol effectively got cut in half. His blood pressure also was elevated at 130/78, and then it normalized in a very short period of time. So not only did he get improvements in his blood glucose, but he also got improvements in his lipid panel as well, which means that both his risk for diabetes and risk for heart disease went down simultaneously. So when you go to the doctor and you get a lipid panel, it can be kind of confusing to interpret what that information means. So in the chat box, here's what I want you guys to answer. When you go to the doctor to get your lipid panel, do you have any idea what the information actually means? Okay, if you understand your lipid panel with confidence, write the word yes. If your lipid panel is a little bit confusing and all these LDLs and HDLs and triglycerides and yada yada just become a little bit obscure, then write the word no.
Okay, let's see what comes in the chat box here. Teresa says yes.
Great.
Jeanette says yes. Sharon says no. Michelle says no. There's a lot of yeses and a lot of no's. I'm seeing like a 50-50 balance here.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Flood of no's came in. Somebody says very little. No, no, no. Yes, no. I'm going to call it 50-50, Cyrus.
You're 50-50. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So that's actually it's better than I thought. I remember before I'd learned human biology, I didn't know anything about my lipid panel. And it was just all, kind of, I don't know. I would see the numbers and I would be like, oh, what's the reference range? Okay, great. Oh, it looks like I'm safe. But I didn't fundamentally understand the biology of these different particles inside of your blood. And so it was kind of confusing to me. So I think I'm actually going to switch slides. Okay, here we go. There's the inside of your blood, you have cholesterol particles of different shapes and different sizes. And there's two different types of what are called lipoprotein particles. And lipoprotein basically just means lipo, meaning fat or fat-soluble components that are on the inside. And then protein is what makes up the coat on the outside. So you basically have lipid on the inside with a little bit of phospholipids and protein on the outside. And that basically gives rise to this name lipoprotein. Okay, so you have these particles. There's like, think of them as like trucks inside of a highway system that's called your blood. And these trucks, some of the trucks are big, some of the trucks are small, and some of them deliver cholesterol and some of them remove cholesterol. Now, your low density LDL, your low density lipoproteins, otherwise known as LDL, is considered the quote unquote bad cholesterol. And this LDL cholesterol is called bad cholesterol because what it does is it delivers cholesterol to tissues. So you'll see this diagram right here shows these sort of khaki colored particles. And these guys' job is to sort of float through your blood all throughout your body. And they actually give cholesterol to your muscle, to your liver, to your thyroid gland, to your pancreas, to your liver, to your kidney, to your sexual organs, to your Achilles tendon. Okay, they're constantly giving cholesterol to other tissues, and as a result of that, it's labeled as your bad cholesterol because you don't necessarily want excess cholesterol to build up inside of tissue. On the other hand, you have these HDL particles, high density lipoprotein particles, and these guys, they effectively do the exact opposite. They vacuum cholesterol out from tissues to bring it back into the blood. So HDL is labeled your good cholesterol because it's basically pulling cholesterol out of your blood and out of tissues and putting it into your blood. Now, why the heck would you want both of these to do the exact opposite? And the reason is because your body has a very intelligent design, and there's many, many, many redundant mechanisms to make sure that there isn't an excess buildup of cholesterol inside of your blood. And so the HDL cholesterol is basically trying at all times to prevent cholesterol from becoming too high in your blood. And LDL is trying to basically deliver cholesterol to tissues. So there's a sort of checks and balances system that is they're kind of offsetting one another at all times. So you go to the doctor, and your doctor is basically going to measure the first thing, your total cholesterol, which is a combination of all the cholesterol particles that are present inside of your blood. They also measure your triglycerides. And then you also get a read on total amount of LDL cholesterol as well as the amount of HDL cholesterol. Okay? So we're going to walk through each one of these one by one. Your total cholesterol is a number that you want to be less than 200 milligrams per deciliter according to the sort of, FDA, or according to the American Heart Association. Keep your blood cholesterol under 200. In our opinion, 200 is too high. We want your total cholesterol to be less than 150. Because a lot of the evidence-based research shows that if you keep your cholesterol level under 150, you're actually maximally protected against the development of heart disease. 200 just tends to be the number that is currently accepted because over the course of time, Americans have developed higher and higher cholesterol levels. Triglycerides. Triglycerides are basically a measure of the total amount of fatty acids in your blood. Remember earlier, we said that there's fatty acids inside of LDL, inside of HDL as well. Okay, there's fatty acids inside of many different particle types. And what you're measuring when you measure triglycerides is just sort of how much triglyceride is present inside of all those particles. Your LDL cholesterol is considered your best indicator of heart disease risk. And the reason I say that is because these studies that I was pointing to earlier showed there's a central role for LDL cholesterol in heart disease, and the higher your LDL cholesterol level goes, the higher your risk for heart disease. And this marker of cholesterol is more powerful than any other marker. It's got a higher correlation than any other marker. And finally, your HDL cholesterol is, and again, it's important because it pulls cholesterol out of tissues, but most importantly, it's only really important when your LDL cholesterol is high. So what do I mean by that? Okay, most doctors, if you go to the doctor and you get a lipid panel, most doctors will tell you, oh, it looks like we want to boost your HDL. Let's get your HDL higher. Let's increase your HDL level. Right in the chat box, if you've ever heard your doctor or some other friend or colleague tell you that it's important to raise your HDL level. If you've heard that, say yes. If you haven't heard that, say no.
Okay, let's see what comes in the chat box. Oh, we got yes, ma. Yes.
Yes,
Nope.
yes.
There's a lot of yes. Now we're talking like 80% yeses.
80% yes. Okay, so there's still 20% no. That's okay. Yeah. Okay. So the common wisdom amongst medical professionals and non-medical professionals is that HDL is really important and that if you have more HDL in your blood, then you're more protected against the development of heart disease. And I would say that that is a true statement, but there's a big, big, big caveat to this whole discussion. And that caveat here is this. When you, regardless of, okay, let me back up here. Your HDL cholesterol and your LDL cholesterol tend to always move in the same direction together. So, because HDL cholesterol is the savior, this is the good stuff. If you increase your HDL cholesterol, often that happens because your LDL cholesterol is also going up. In other words, when your LDL cholesterol goes up due to a poor lifestyle or due to an extremely high-fat diet, then there's a larger biological need for HDL. So therefore, people say, oh, get more HDL in your blood, find a way to increase your HDL level, because that's going to protect you against this rising LDL cholesterol. But what we find, and what a lot of the evidence-based research find, is that when you adopt a plant-based diet, your LDL cholesterol actually goes down, and as a result of that, so does your HDL level. And again, people point to the HDL level and they say, oh, your HDL is decreasing, that's not a good thing. But in reality, it is a perfectly acceptable thing when your LDL concentration is also decreasing. So if you eat a low-fat plant-based whole food diet like we recommend, okay, your HDL cholesterol can go down, and it happens for a lot of people. Okay, but that's actually okay, because a decrease in your HDL cholesterol is actually not only okay, but it's actually expected. But the reason it's happening is because your LDL cholesterol is also going down. So there's basically less need of good cholesterol when there's less bad cholesterol present in circulation. Okay, so in other words, another way to think about it is that when you have less bad cholesterol, then you need less good cholesterol. It's just that simple. Okay, so if your HDL cholesterol has decreased as a result of adopting a plant-based diet, or if you are concerned that your HDL cholesterol is too low, you don't want to interpret it in isolation. You always want to interpret it in combination with your LDL cholesterol at the same time. Okay, now another thing that's very important is that your HDL cholesterol level, if it's extremely high, okay, it actually can increase your risk for premature death. There was a paper that was published not too long ago in 2017, and this paper was actually fascinating. Dr. Joel Kahn sent this paper to us because he wanted us to understand exactly what was happening. But what this paper was showing is that when you have an extremely high HDL cholesterol level, which only happens in a very small subset of people, then it actually increases your risk for premature death. So what this means is that just take a look at the shapes of these curves right here, right? It says a U-shaped curve. And what you're looking at here is your risk for premature death in red, okay? So this is like what this means is that your risk for premature death decreases right here, decreases, and it hits this minimum when your HDL cholesterol is at this minimum range right here. So more HDL cholesterol means that your risk for all-cause mortality goes down. But then as your HDL cholesterol continues to increase and increase and increase, then once again, your risk for all-cause mortality increases over the course of time. Now, this happens regardless of whether you are adjusting all of these calculations for age, whether you're adjusting it for triglyceride level, whether you're adjusting it for other lifestyle factors like smoking or alcoholism. Regardless, no matter which way you correct the data, the fact of the matter is there is a sweet spot right here. You want your HDL cholesterol to be in that sweet spot to minimize your risk for premature death, but going beyond that and trying to increase your HDL cholesterol by eating more fish oil or increasing or exercising like a madman to really try and push this up can actually increase your risk for premature death. And obviously, I don't want that, and neither do you. Okay. So again, this is just sort of a close-up. Let's see here. In men and in women, there's a different HDL cholesterol, which is considered ideal. So in men, it's 1.9 millimoles per liter, and I don't have the correction in American units here, so that's my fault. And then in women, it's slightly higher. It's about 2.4 millimoles right here. Okay, so that's sort of the ideal HDL cholesterol that will minimize your risk for premature death. Okay, so what they say is here, our results indicate that the common belief that the higher the HDL concentration, the better. That does not hold true for extreme high concentrations, because the relationship between HDL cholesterol and all-cause mortality is not linear. Okay? If the association between extreme high cholesterol and high risk of death is causal, these findings would add to the uncertainty regarding elevated HDL cholesterol. So it's a little complicated. But point being is that more HDL cholesterol is not always better. So if you take a look at the studies that I've shown here, taking a look at the central role of LDL and the fact that more HDL is not necessarily good, all you have to remember, if you remember anything from this entire conversation, it's this. Your job is to focus on lowering your LDL concentration in your blood. If you simply lower your LDL using some combination of lifestyle factors and don't worry about raising your HDL cholesterol, this right here can protect you against adverse cardiovascular events. I'll say that one more time. All you have to do is focus on lowering your LDL cholesterol. This right here protects you against heart disease more effectively than raising your HDL cholesterol. It's literally just that simple. So going back to some of these numbers again, if you want to become heart disease proof, this is how you do it. The goal is to try and get your total cholesterol to under 150 milligrams per deciliter. At the same time, you want your triglycerides to be under 150 milligrams per deciliter. And the goal for LDL cholesterol is to get under 100 and even closer to 70 milligrams per deciliter if possible. If you accomplish task number 1 and task number 2 and task number 3, and all 3 of these are in line, then your HDL cholesterol literally is not that important. But your HDL cholesterol only really comes into play, again, when your LDL cholesterol is increasing. So if you have high LDL, you need more HDL. But if your LDL is under control and it's between 70 and 100, then your HDL cholesterol just doesn't really matter very much. So here's another example. This is Jason. He has type 1 diabetes. And Bob had type 2 diabetes. Jason has type 1. He adopted a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet. He found that by doing so, he lost almost 20 pounds. And his insulin use came down by, a quarter. So he lost about 25% of total insulin use. So he went from eating 40 grams of carbohydrate, which is sort of similar to a ketogenic diet, all the way upwards of 250 grams per day. And by doing so, not only did his markers of his glucose metabolism improve, but his LDL cholesterol basically got cut by 2/3. When he came to us and he said, hey, I have a cholesterol level of 285 of LDL, I literally had never seen an LDL cholesterol that high before. I had never seen this before. So I was like, no, Jason, that's your total cholesterol. He goes, no, that's my LDL. So in a very short period of time, he was able to dramatically reduce his LDL cholesterol and get it into the safe zone. And he did this, again, literally just by eating a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet and following specifically the Mastering Diabetes method to a T. Now, the final thing that we'll go into here is a little bit about triglycerides. A lot of people ask us this question. They say, well, Cyrus, my cholesterol came down, my LDL came down, my HDL came down a little bit, but why is my triglyceride going in the opposite direction? Why are my triglyceride values going up? Now, in the chat box, tell me, if you have adopted a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet, or you've transitioned towards a plant-based diet, and you are finding that your triglyceride value is increasing, then write the word yes in the chat box. If you instead haven't transitioned to a plant-based diet, or you're finding that your triglyceride value is not increasing, then write the word no.
Okay, let's see what comes in. I got yes, 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 no, yes, 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 yes. There's a lot of yeses.
There's a lot of yeses.
No, yes, 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 no, yes, yes.
Okay, cool.
Lots of yeses. I'm going to call it 85%.
85% yes.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So there's a lot of yeses here. So if your triglyceride values are increasing and that's concerning you, then time to listen up. The simplest way to think about this is that your triglyceride value is often a reflection of the condition of your liver. So if your liver has developed insulin resistance over the course of time due to a high-fat diet, due to a sedentary lifestyle, due to a high intake of animal foods over the course of time, then as a result of those lifestyle choices, your liver has developed insulin resistance over the course of time. So when your liver is insulin resistant, if you choose to eat a whole carbohydrate, regardless of the type of carbohydrate you eat, whether it's whole, like we recommend, or whether it's refined, like we do not recommend, then what your liver can do is it can accelerate its rate of conversion of carbohydrate into fatty acids. And as a result of that, it will then, it'll convert these carbohydrate sources into fatty acids at an advanced rate. And as a result of that, now your liver is actually manufacturing and secreting more fatty acids. And as a result of having an insulin-resistant liver at the same time, these carbohydrate sources also increase the amount of glucose that your liver manufactures. So effectively, your liver is now taking these carbohydrate sources and it's manufacturing fatty acids and it's secreting glucose. So you end up with higher levels of fatty acids in your blood, or more triglyceride, and higher glucose levels at the same time. Okay? So these are the two results: higher fasting triglycerides and higher fasting blood glucose. But again, this results not necessarily because your diet is improper, but it's because it's a reflection of the condition of your liver right now. If we take the opposite approach, which is that you have an insulin sensitive liver because you've made lifestyle choices that promote optimal insulin sensitivity in your liver. Maybe you exercise frequently. Maybe you're eating a low fat diet. Maybe you're eating more plants. Maybe you're eating a smaller number of animal based foods. Regardless of what lifestyle choices you've made, in that situation, if you eat either whole or refined carbohydrate energy, then your liver does not have to manufacture and secrete a high level of fatty acids. So it's going to secrete a normal amount of fatty acids into your blood and a normal amount of glucose into your blood. And as a result of that, your triglycerides will be lower, and your fasting blood glucose will also be lower. So what you're really striving for is a way to improve the condition of your liver. And if you do that and make your liver less reactive to these carbohydrate sources, then you're going to have a better triglyceride value and a better glucose value at the same time. So now you might be asking, well, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? How do I increase the insulin sensitivity of my liver, Cyrus? Is it just that simple? Do I just sit here and wait? Or do I have to do something in particular? Okay, there's a couple of things that you can do. Number one, you can eat a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet. That is literally one of the most powerful methods, one of the most powerful things you can possibly do to improve global insulin sensitivity in all tissues, but especially inside of your liver. Number two, you can also incorporate amla. Okay, amla is a Indian gooseberry, and we have had separate webinars, and we talk about amla specifically because of its incredible ability to normalize blood lipids. Number three, if you move your body for approximately 30 to 45 minutes, 6 days per week, that can dramatically improve the condition of your liver, even though your liver is not necessarily doing any work to perform exercise. And number four, if you perform intermittent fasts on a regular basis, whether it's a daily 16-hour fast or whether it's a weekly 24-hour intermittent fast, either way, doing so can improve the condition of your liver dramatically. So if you're doing some combination of these four things, you can go from having an insulin-resistant liver to an insulin-sensitive liver in a short period of time. And as a result of that, your triglyceride values can come down, and they can come down quickly. But again, in order to do this, you must be consistent. No questions asked. Okay, this is very, very, very important. And when I say consistent, I mean adopt a collection of lifestyle habits that you can perform on a daily basis. I don't want you to say, oh yeah, I'm eating a plant-based diet 5 days out of the week and then I have 1 or 2 cheat days. That's not good enough. Consistency is the key. Turn yourself into a robot and make this true every single day of your life. And then secondarily, be patient. Over the course of time, many years and years and years of adopting a high-fat diet, or less or no intermittent fasting, or a small amount of exercise can set the stage for chronic disease. This takes many days, many weeks, many months, many years. But yet in that situation, a lot of people are looking for quick fixes. I want to be able to reverse insulin resistance and become non-diabetic in a week, in 2 weeks, in a month. Help. And the answer is, in most situations, you just need more time. The human body is a brilliant machine, but you got to give it time. You got to give it consistency. So if you do the two of those together, then you can maximize your chances of becoming the healthiest that you've been in a long time. And this is a perfect example. Lindsay, I literally was just hanging out with Lindsay in person down in Florida. We were having a good time. We went to CrossFit together. We got a great workout, and then she fed me a bunch of fruit afterwards. She's living with type 1 diabetes, just like Jason that we saw earlier. She adopted this exact collection of lifestyle habits that you see right here, these 4 habits. And this is what happened. Her A1C started in the 7s, low 7s, and it went to 5.8 in the non-diabetic range. And she cut her insulin down from 40 to 29 units per day. She lost almost 20 pounds. And her carbohydrate intake is now maximal at like 500 grams per day. Her total cholesterol also came down by about 50 points. Okay, she wasn't even intending for that to happen. Better blood glucose, reduced insulin use, reduced cholesterol. Okay, this is very repeatable, as you can see, from person to person to person, regardless of whether you're living with type 1 or type 2, regardless of whether you're short, regardless of whether you're tall, regardless of whether you're young, regardless of whether you're older. Okay, so this is a very repeatable thing, and we can teach you exactly how to do this because it's actually not that hard. But what helps in making sure that this lifestyle unfolds properly is to make sure that you have a system and a method that's very systematic in order to get you from point A to point B. So the question that I have for you guys is, do you want to learn about the way that we can help you improve your cholesterol level and maximize your insulin sensitivity at the same time? If you want to learn about it, type the word yes. If you don't want to learn about it, it's totally cool. Type the word no. We're here to help, and we have a system that is very, very effective.
Lance says yes already. And we have now a flood of yeses coming in. This one, Cyrus, I'm going to report the percentage as 100%.
You don't see a single no.
I don't see a single no. I've yet to see one.
My cat tried to type in the word no, and she can't type very well. So she tried. She's not interested.
She's ready for you to play with her.
She really is. She's like, I like my ketogenic diet.
Okay, so we're going to tell you about the Mastering Diabetes method. That's really what we're going to cover tonight, and how you can learn it and implement it through our Do-It-Yourself program. And then we'll also have a little special announcement in addition to this. So these are the types of foods we're talking about. This is not a program of restriction. It's not a program of limiting foods. It's when you choose the right foods, the healthy foods, you get to eat them in abundance. And as you can see on the screen, they are delicious. So the way to understand what to eat, we have developed a traffic light system that is incredibly easy to understand and very easy to implement. The green light category, these are foods you get to eat in large quantities. Eat them in abundance when you're hungry until you're satisfied. So you got fruits, that's bananas, pears, apples, mangoes, peaches, you name it, it's on the program. Starchy vegetables such as sweet potatoes, regular russet potatoes, yams, butternut squash. Starchy vegetables are a green light food. Beans, lentils, and peas, intact whole grains. So that's like farro, quinoa, millet, wheat berries. These are intact whole grains. In the first 4 categories, those are a lot of foods that people living with diabetes, people who may have fatty liver, we're told don't eat those, okay? And we are telling you to actually eat them in abundance, the exact opposite, and guaranteeing it's going to work. Leafy greens, non-starchy vegetables, herbs and spices, and mushrooms, those are all in the green light category. Those are obvious foods. Everybody agrees upon those. But the distinction of why this method is so successful is because we're actually emphasizing whole carbohydrate-rich foods, which are listed in the first 4 sections there. Fruits, starchy vegetables, legumes, intact whole grains. Now, the yellow light category, these are also very healthy foods. They are either a little high in fat or they're a little bit more processed. And that's why they're put in the yellow light category, which means just be careful. Don't eat too much. You don't want to sit down and just eat an entire bowl of nuts or seeds or eat multiple avocados till you're hungry, till you're satisfied. That's going to be problematic. So those are high-fat plant foods. They're whole foods. They are plant-based, but they are not low in fat. So you want to be careful with those. Foods like pastas. So there's brown rice pasta. There's bean pasta. These are all great. Can definitely be part of a healthy, low-fat, plant-based whole food diet. But we still recommend you focus on the unprocessed version. Brown rice is still going to be better than brown rice pasta. Same thing when it comes to sprouted bread. Sprouted breads are great. You can get all kinds of varieties. Ezekiel is one of our favorite companies. But whatever that bread was made out of, whatever the sprout was, it's still better to have that whole intact food as came in nature. Now, the red light category, these are foods we're suggesting you minimize or completely avoid, as Cyrus explained earlier in the presentation. Dairy products, eggs, red and white meat, fish and shellfish, all animal products are put in this category. And there was also some questions in the chat box about oils. Oils are one of the most processed foods you can possibly consume, also one of the most calorie-dense foods. So a small amount will not keep you satisfied, but will easily allow you to eat excess calories and prevent weight loss, prevent you to get to your ideal weight. Refined sugars, pastries, and breads, those are obvious, but we list them anyways. Those are in the red light category. So it's really a simple system. Focus on eating green light foods. Fill your plate with those, small amounts of yellows, and try to avoid the red light foods. So that's how to do it. And what do these foods come together to look like? Delicious, satisfying meals. You got a bean chili there, you got a burger, you got fruit bowls, you got some corn, you got some soup. And each picture here shows a pretty large quantity because the green light foods are loaded with water and fiber, which gives you the bulk, which keeps you satisfied all throughout the day without eating too many calories. And if you need to get in a calorie deficit, it's actually easy and you don't even know you're in one. So these are the types of foods we're talking about. We're very proud to be one of the most fruit-friendly, probably the most fruit-friendly diabetes coaching program on the planet. And here you see plates and bowls just loaded with healthy fruits. Even grapes. You can have grapes on our program and you can eat them with greens. You can have pomegranate, which is just coming into season right now, mangoes, papaya, dates, raspberries, kiwis, golden kiwis. That's what you see on the screen here. All green light foods.
Robbie, can we do a webinar where you just sit there and name fruits?
Dude, that would be so much fun. You know, Jose can drop into the chat box our complete list of exactly what to eat. We're very proud of that. We have gone through it all. We've gone through the USDA nutrient database. So you get to know what foods are best to eat for diabetes health and for lowering your cholesterol, getting your triglycerides under control. It's very simple. Okay, so the do-it-yourself program, that's what we want to tell you about tonight. We're going to tell you exactly how it works. So what you do when you sign up for the do-it-yourself program is you get lifetime access. All right, so it's really well thought out. So you go through it step by step, but you can always come back to it. And this is a new and improved brand new course that we filmed with brand new information. And again, like I said, it's very well thought out in a step-by-step manner. So you get the results you're looking for and you can access it on any device, whether that's your phone, your tablet, your computer. You will have lifetime access to the do-it-yourself program. Now, what exactly is this and how does it work? In week 1, you're going to lay down the foundation here. You're going to really understand insulin sensitivity and insulin resistance. You're going to understand your basal diet, where you're starting, set some goals, and set yourself up for success. It's designed to not be overwhelming. And then once you get into week 2, it's time to start changing your breakfast, okay? And it's time to also understand your data, understand your numbers. What tests do you need to get done? What are your ranges for specific tests related to diabetes health and the cholesterol and triglycerides? All that stuff is covered in lesson number 2. Okay? Then week 3, you're going to get into calorie density and really understand that topic and how to optimize your lunch so you can have maximum energy, predictable blood glucose levels, and stay on this diet for a lifetime. That's the key. You're going to learn all the nuances in week 3. Then in week 4, you're going to learn about shopping. You're going to learn about prepping food, social situations, restaurants, eating out. This is one of the biggest challenges when transitioning to a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet is how do I eat out? How do I hang out with my friends? We teach you how to navigate those, what can be tricky situations, how to navigate them gracefully, stick to your goals and make it happen. So that's what week 4 is all about. And we're also going to make sure you're saving money and time when it comes to buying and preparing food. So It's really great info in that week. Then you get to week 5, you're going to learn about intermittent fasting. So Cyrus touched on this a little bit in the webinar tonight. This is a huge, huge tool that you can use to maximize your insulin sensitivity, improve your biometrics. It's really, really powerful. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. There's a lot of nuances to do it properly and make sure it works for you in your busy life. So we cover that in week 5. And then when you get to week 6, it's about moving your body. We teach you how to do that, how to make it work in your busy life, how to get it in consistently, and also the science behind why it's so important. When you understand what's going on, you really become empowered and really decide why you want to do it more often when you understand it. And it's fun, kind of like when you're exercising, to be like, oh, wait a minute, this is what's going on in my body. You really, really get it. So that's week 6. You go through it one step at a time to maximize your success. So what does this result in? Basically, when you follow the Master Diabetes Method, you're going to get effortless weight loss. It's going to be predictable. It's going to be consistent because you're eating nutrient-dense food. You're going to get your best A1C and keep it there. We want you to lower your A1C for the rest of your life because you're in full control. That's the whole point. Then you're going to gain a bunch of energy. All right. You are finally going to be eating nutrient-dense foods and also that's going to crowd out the foods that are hurting your energy right now. All right. Then you're also going to improve your sleep. No matter what form of diabetes you're living with, you're going to improve your sleep. A lot of people living with insulin-dependent diabetes have a fear of going low overnight, and they ride high, and this crushes your A1C. A big portion of your 24-hour blood glucose control occurs when you're sleeping. When you get that under control and you don't have the fear and be trying to be safe riding high all night, you're going to improve your A1C, you're going to improve your sleep quality, you're going to improve your overall health big time. So that's a very big deal. Also, by implementing the Mastering Diabetes Method step by step, you're going to prevent complications. Diabetes comes with a long list of complications, including a lot of stuff we covered tonight, high cholesterol, which leads to heart disease, fatty liver disease, neuropathy. You want to prevent limb amputations, chronic kidney disease. These are conditions that come right along with diabetes. These are the conditions that actually people living with diabetes either die from or really really take them down. So you're going to want to prevent those, and the Mastering Diabetes Method is the ideal way to do that. And same thing when it comes to exercise. A lot of people are not exercising because they are fear that they're going to go low, okay? So when you have full control of your blood glucose, when you're optimizing your nutrient density, and you have predictable blood glucose levels, then you have the confidence to exercise and enjoy it. So that's what happens when you follow the DIY program step by step. Now, we want to share some success stories here. This is a woman that was afraid to go to her doctor, was very worried about the numbers. And as you can see, look at all these improvements. We celebrate success one step at a time. Nobody's perfect. This person is on their way to better results, and it was a huge celebration when this was shared in the group. Now, we also have a person here who was on cholesterol medication, they were on blood pressure medication, and they were on 4 diabetes medications. And in a short matter of time following this method, they got off the blood pressure medication, off the cholesterol medication, did not need them, and 3 of the diabetes medications were gone. Januvia, Victoza, and insulin, all gone. I mean,
it's funny. I remember when I saw this post, I literally jumped up and down because look at what it says. She was taking atorvastatin, so that's a statin medication. She was taking losartan for blood pressure. So those are the 2 cardiovascular medications. And then in addition to that, Januvia, Victoza, insulin, and metformin. That's 6 medications. And of those 6, she got off of atorvastatin, losartan, Januvia, Victoza, and insulin, and literally is only using metformin, which is actually the safest, quote unquote, safest of all these medications. And she literally is doing it by eating green light foods. It's unbelievable.
It's an amazing, and also a lot of those drugs have nasty side effects. I mean, Januvia and Victoza, man, I mean, you do not want to be on those.
No, they can destroy your pancreas in the long term.
This woman lost 24 pounds as well. So then you have another success story here. This woman lost 20 pounds, okay? You see it in kilograms here, but I did the conversion for you. 20 pounds down. Insulin went from 24 units to 14 units a day. This is just in 9 months, all right? Blood pressure back into a healthy range. A1C into the non-diabetic range. That's fantastic results across the board. All right? And that doesn't stop there, guys. I mean, we could go on. We could do an entire webinar, Cyrus. We get new stories every day. Like, it's unbelievable. So this one on the left here, they lost 50 pounds and we're starting to run and just crushing their goals. And then on the right, this person goes for a non-diabetic A1C and they're just feeling amazing. This is just in 6 months. In 6 months. And they even have a low C-peptide, which many people on this webinar may or may not have, but we are finding incredible results on people maximizing their insulin sensitivity, even with impaired insulin production, getting phenomenal results. Phenomenal results. And that person on the right had even stopped metformin. And then another person here, these are results that happened in 3 weeks on both of these slides here, okay? So the person on the left, they had their fasting blood glucose go from 168 to below 100. And remember, they're following the Mastering Diabetes method, eating the green light foods ad libitum as much as they want, and seeing all these diabetes metrics go down. The exact opposite of what they've been told, but it works and we guarantee it. Person on the right, they had sensational results. They cut their insulin use in half. This is in 3 weeks. And they dropped their, how many pounds? Almost like 9 pounds. 9 pounds of weight loss pretty much there, 4 kilograms. It's fantastic stuff. And they're going to reduce their medications even more, they said in that post.
Oh, there's more.
It's fantastic. So the person on the left, huge cholesterol drop. Can't wait to tell their doctor. The doctor was so proud, was like, wow, you should teach this stuff. And they just said, hey, go check out Mastering Diabetes. And then on the right here, you have a non-diabetic A1C. Lipids are great. This person is doing fantastic. So the program works. It absolutely straight up works. Repeatedly, we guarantee it. Now, what happens when you sign up? This is what you get. You get digital access to this online course, which includes PDF handouts and videos. You're going to get 25 exclusive recipes. You're going to go through all the tips to save money and time. Saving time is the biggest deal here. Same thing with the food prep and the shopping and the challenging social situations. You're going to get all that. And you also will be getting lifetime access to all this. You can go to the next slide, Cyrus. But you get lifetime access. And you're also going to get these other additional items. You're going to achieve your ideal body weight. You're going to learn the true nuances of intermittent fasting, but implement it in your life successfully and factor in what happens to diabetes medications and blood glucose management. What should you expect? That's all in the course. And your insulin sensitivity is going to get very high. So as you saw on those liver slides, there was a happy liver and there was a sad liver, a frustrated liver. Okay? You want to maximize your insulin sensitivity when it comes to optimizing your triglyceride levels and obviously your diabetes health. So that's what you get when you sign up for the DIY program. Tonight we have a special offer. There's a discount code HEALTH. So let me...
Heart.
Oh, heart. Sorry. You're right, heart. Let me make sure there's a box here so you guys can sign up for that.
Let me change the date on this slide. I think I made a mistake.
Yeah, there you go. So, basically you're going to save 33%, whether you do the payment plan or whether you do the one-time payment. And again, this is something you own for life, okay? You get the DIY program for life. We have a complete money-back guarantee. We guarantee your success. You follow the program. You do what it says. If you don't get the results after following the homework and doing exactly what the program says, then we are happy to give your money back. We are not concerned that that's going to happen because it works like wildfire. With that said, I told you we had a special announcement tonight, okay? So first off, let me upload the box here. Hold on. So you can click the link. There we go. So click that link. Now, Cyrus, we have a special announcement. You want to tell them about it?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we were sort of debating as to whether we were going to even do this in the first place, but we are currently So as you guys may know, we have a coaching program where you can do the Mastering Diabetes method in a community of other people that are doing it with you. And you can also get literally daily interaction with our team of expert coaches. So that's the Mastering Diabetes coaching program. And then we also have the DIY program, which is what you guys are looking at right here on the screen. So the DIY program, think of it as it's a trimmed down version of the coaching program. And it's a little bit, it's just something that you can do that's like a lower barrier to entry. So the coaching program right now is, we have a wait list for that coaching program. And that wait list is it can get pretty long. Right now, we have an opportunity because we've increased our infrastructure. We have an opportunity for you guys to join that, but that ends on Sunday evening. So if you want to join the coaching program where you'll get to not only get this do-it-yourself program, but in addition, you will also get an online community. You will also get coaching from our team of experienced coaches, and you will get video conferencing. If you want all of that, then there's a link in the chat box, I believe. You can click on that link and you can get started, but you have to do it before Sunday night. No questions asked, because on Sunday night we are closing it and we're going to put the wait list back in again, and it might be a while before you get a chance to join. So if you want to do that, that's one option. If instead you say to yourself, no, I don't really want all that, I just want to do it myself in the comfort of my own home, I can execute this. You act more like a robot or like a soldier. You just get a set of information and you just execute it. It's totally fine. That second option is what you see on the screen here. So either way is a good option for you. Both of them will work. It's just really a question of whether you want community and you want to be able to interact with coaches because you have a lot of questions and because you really thrive in a group environment. If that's the case, join the coaching program. If not, and you want to do this in isolation, then do this the do-it-yourself program.
Yeah, I think we had some date confusion. That's our fault, guys. So the November 3rd, that's this Sunday. That's when the coaching program closes. So again, we weren't sure we were going to announce that today, but we did. So just because you're on this webinar, if you want to join our coaching program, Sunday night is that deadline. Now, if you want to save 33% off of the DIY program, that's going to go until Wednesday. Okay, that's your window of opportunity. Enter the discount code HEART, and you will then get that discount. So it's in the lower right corner of the checkout page. Just type in HEART, all caps, and then you'll receive that 33% discount. So that's what we got for you guys. We want to see you succeed. We really, really want you guys to be a testimonial. We're in this together. We want nothing more than you to see your results. So take advantage of this opportunity.
Absolutely. No questions asked. Robbie, you want to call someone?
Yeah, let's do it. Do we have any phone numbers? Let me see. I don't know if I saw any phone numbers.
Did somebody give you their phone number?
I don't think anybody's given a phone number yet. So let's put your phone number in if you want us to call you. We'll call you right now. It'll be fun. But we have a couple questions on our question sheet, Cyrus. What about plant oils like cacao butter, olive oil, etc.?
Cacao. Okay, don't recommend them. So, the benefit that you have is that these oils are plant-based oils, meaning that they don't contain any animal anything, no animal compounds, no animal protein, and they don't contain cholesterol. The disadvantage is that they're a highly, highly, highly concentrated source of fatty acids, and oftentimes in vegetable oils or plant-based oils, there's still a significant amount of saturated fat. And so having saturated fat, having a very concentrated source, can actually increase your cholesterol levels even though you're not trying to do that. In addition to that, there's actually some relatively strong evidence that shows that oils, when you consume them, can actually damage your endothelium, which is the inside layer of your blood vessels. And when you do that, they are less likely to produce nitric oxide, which means that they're less likely to dilate, which means that it increases your risk for atherosclerosis. So what I would recommend is try and stay away from all oils, whether they come from, avocado oil, whether it's olive oil, whether it's MCT oil, coconut oil, you name it. Oil is not a food. It's just sort of a highly, highly, highly refined ingredient. And if you stay away from that, you can dramatically cut your cholesterol levels and dramatically improve your insulin sensitivity at the same time.
Simple as that. Very simple. All right. So another question we have here was, how low can HDL go to be acceptable?
Oh, okay. So the lower level for HDL for men is about 30. 30, I'm trying to remember the unit, 30 milligrams per deciliter, I believe. And then for women, it's 40. No, I apologize. I'm sorry. Let me back up. For men, it's 40. For women, it's 50. Okay. So if your HDL cholesterol is floating around those numbers, then I wouldn't worry about it. I am not a doctor, and I can't basically give you a number and say if your number is here, then you are safe. But what I can tell you is that if you are at or slightly below the recommended 40 for men and 50 for women, then you are safe. If you go way, way, way lower than that, then I cannot speak for that situation. But if you're just within 10% of that number, within 20% of that number, from the research, we don't see that there's much of a problem.
Okay, perfect. So another question here is somebody who's saying, like, basically, I saw this in the chat box several times, which is that, look, I've been doing this diet perfectly for an extended period of time, and my triglycerides are still high. And so I want to read something from a recent post that Dr. Garth Davis, who's been featured in our summit several times, he publishes a lot. Basically, so in the past, people would write blog posts. A lot of times, people now write important content on Instagram. So I'm going to read something that he wrote from an Instagram post. He said, one big caveat: if you eat a very high carb diet and very low fat diet, you may do fasting blood work and have high triglycerides. Again, this is why I recommended post-meal studies. The high triglycerides in a fasting fruitarian or similar diet is due to the fact that under fasting situations, they will secrete glucagon, which mobilizes fat stores for fuel. Because their postprandial lipids, because of this, their postprandial lipids should be lower than normal, and LDL should be low. Their fasting high triglycerides should not be significant, though many factors come into the equation of risk: genes, lifestyle, homocysteine, omega-3, etc. I also had a conversation with Dr. Steve Luenda, who is a physician who was at our in our summit, and I saw him at an event recently, and I shared some information from somebody who publicly reported their cholesterol levels, the triglyceride levels, and they saw everything improve. Their A1C got better, their LDL was perfect, their HDL was perfect, but the triglycerides were a little bit high. And he looks at those numbers and he says, look, in general, it's not to worry about. Like, that is not the triglyceride number is not a big risk for cardiovascular disease when everything else is looking good.
Yeah, that's the trick. That is the trick.
Yeah.
If it's just one isolated number amongst a sea of other beneficial, in range numbers, then it's really much less of a risk than if your triglycerides were high and your LDL is high and your total cholesterol is high and your HDL is low at the same time.
Exactly. So I just want to address that. Now, I have a phone number here, so I'm going to call the phone number.
Call the phone number right now. Okay.
I sure am.
All right. Call Laura Ann.
I am. Yep.
Perfect. Again, if you want us to give you a phone call, just put your number in the chat box and we'll call you. This is fun. It's like we're on a radio show here. I've always wanted a radio show. This has been one of my bucket list items. Can you write that down? It's a bucket list. Okay.
Okay, we have Laura Ann on the phone with us. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you for all you guys do.
Well, no worries. Thank you.
Yeah. What questions do you have for us?
I have an unusual question. I had a higher A1C, and so that's what started me. A friend that is a type 1 diabetic referred me to you guys. And I am blind, and so I use text-to-speech and was wondering if the videos and the PDFs, if they are accessible, or if I purchase the program and I'm not able to have access to that, if you guys would work with me.
Yes, we'll work with you. So I'm pretty sure. Well, the videos you can hear them, so that's good there.
Yes.
The PDFs, I'm sure you use text to speech software, so I'm pretty sure you can use that for the PDFs, right? You could try it. If that didn't work, then we could find a way to like get if the text in the PDF didn't work, we could find a way to get the text into like a Google Doc or something.
Okay, that would be great if there's a way to do that. And I didn't know if like the format, if it would be easy to be able to click on the actual buttons to be able to listen to the document. I mean, to the to the audio as well. So that's what I was checking on, and I'd be happy to work with you guys if it's not accessible to give you feedback to help you get it accessible.
Yeah, for sure. We want to help you. So go ahead and use the discount, and we want to see you get the results that the program gives.
Well, I've already been doing plant-based whole food for the last 2 months, and I've lost 20 pounds.
That's fantastic.
I'm already seeing results just from listening to your podcast and reading on the website.
That is great work. Very, very, very proud of you. That's good stuff.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to working with you.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
20 pounds down, Cyrus.
So it doesn't get better than that.
It's fantastic.
It does.
Okay, do we have any other questions come in? Here's something I saw come in, Cyrus.
Yeah.
There were people asking about the dose of amla that could help. Maybe we could just do a quick little summary here of amla green and how that can help in this situation.
Okay, so the question is how much amla green is important?
Yeah, I put the link in the chat box if people want to check it out.
Okay, let me share my screen. See if this will work. Okay. Give me 1 second.
And honestly, Cyrus, let's tie this into what you're going to say about amla to how it could be beneficial for intermittent fasting in general, because people are asking a little bit more about, like, can you elaborate on the methods of intermittent fasting? And I know amla and intermittent fasting go hand in hand together.
100%. So are you seeing my screen right now?
Sure am.
Okay, great. So if you go to our website right here, which is amlagreen.com right here, AMLAGREEN.com. You can feel free to peruse around on this website. What you will see is that if you click on this thing that says Shop Our Store right here, you'll see that you have a couple of different options here for different amla green products. So effectively, you have the original formula, which is a 30 serving small and a 90 serving large. And then you have a decaf formula, which is 30 serving small or 90 serving large. So regardless of whether you want the caffeinated or the decaffeinated version, both options are available for you. Now, the reason that you would want to incorporate amla green into your life is because amla the Indian gooseberries is the most powerful cholesterol reducing food ever discovered by human beings. Okay, there's a lot of medicinal plants that are available now to help reduce cholesterol levels and reduce glucose levels and improve your kidney function and improve your liver health, improve your digestion, et cetera, et cetera. Of all those foods, amla, Indian gooseberries, have been shown to be the most powerful for cholesterol. And scientists are still in the process of trying to figure out exactly why that works and what is happening, but they don't necessarily know the mechanism at play. What they do know is that it is an incredibly powerful, it has an incredibly powerful effect. So the berries look like this. They're these little guys right here. It's like the size of a grape. They're fluorescent green. You put them in a bowl and it looks like this. Okay, these things are so sour that if you tried to eat one of these things, it would be almost unpalatable. And so as a result of that, what we did is we combined it with oolong dark green tea, and we turned it into what looks like this powder. So you take this powder and you just there's a scooper inside of the jar. You literally take one scoop and you put that scoop into a glass of hot water. And by doing that, you make a tea, and the tea just looks like this. So you make that tea, You drink 1 glass per day, sometimes 2 glasses per day if you want that. And this has a dramatic effect at reducing your blood glucose and your cholesterol level, and it can also reduce blood pressure at the same time. We are proud to say that our products are 100% organic. There's no pesticides in them. It's also tested for heavy metals, and we make sure that we're below even the most stringent standards of California Prop 45. Point being is that this is a very high quality tea with a very high quality, very powerful cholesterol reducing and blood glucose reducing and blood pressure reducing ingredient that most people are unaware even exists.
Boom. There it is.
If you'd like to get your hands on it, then I think it would be a great, what's the word I'm looking for? A great addition to a whole food plant-based diet. And the combination of the two of them, literally, we have never found anything that's more powerful than that.
100%. Okay, so I'm going to call Kathleen. Kathleen wants to get into the coaching program, so we're going to teach her how to do it right now. If anybody else wants to figure that out too, we'll learn through this phone call.
Calling her right now.
Okay, Kathleen, it's good to be speaking with you. I saw in the chat box you want to join the coaching program.
Yeah, I'd like to know a few things. I didn't see an area where I could click on to learn more about that.
Okay, so are you on the webinar still right now?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm hearing like double voice.
Yeah, so turn all the volume down on your computer, but stay on the webinar. Just turn the volume down.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
That's better.
So now, on the webinar at the top, you should see a yellow box, and it has a link in it that says masteringdiabetes.org/membership open October 2019. You see that?
No, actually, I can't see the head, the top of your head. I can see, Hello?
Okay. Hey Jose, can you try sending Kathleen the direct link in maybe a chat box or something? I want to make sure you get the link, so I want you to see the page.
We'll send an email, Robbie. I think that's probably the easiest thing.
All right, we'll send you an email. But anyways, I want everybody here to be able to see, like, the coaching program is going to close on Sunday. So if you want the benefit of either joining our signature coaching program, our small group coaching program, or private coaching and work with a coach directly, this is your chance before it closes on Sunday. So we'll get you a link directly so you can go look at all that, and everybody else on the webinar can benefit as well.
Okay.
Are you living with diabetes?
So that's great. Type 2?
Type 2. Okay. Excellent. What was your last A1C?
It was 13, and 6 months prior to that was 11. And 3 years ago, I did a 3-week facility water fast, and it went below it went to no diabetes. But when I left, something had occurred and did occur in my process. And, I was directed to eat the wrong food, unfortunately, not knowing there was there was sugar in the food I was eating. I believe in the little education I've gotten that I have a strong insulin resistance, and my liver is giving me some issues along with that. I'll lose a pound, I'll gain a pound. I'll lose a pound, I gain a pound. I'm doing about 90% plant-based for the last 2 months, and I'm not seeing.
Okay, so you're the perfect person to be a part of our coaching program, because like Cyrus was saying earlier, you're going to communicate with a coach on a daily basis, and we're going to figure out exactly what is going on. Why is the weight loss not continuously happening? And through the coaching process of us seeing exactly what you're doing, we will get to the bottom of it and make sure you get your diabetes under control.
I have a question. Someone close to me is an applied kinesiologist professional, and after many testing, there's they're saying that there is a fat metabolism resistance caused by, let's just say, Lyme complex over the years. Do you guys know anything about that sort of thing?
A Lyme complex, like talking about Lyme disease or something?
Yes. So those infections that you get don't always clear completely. No matter,
Okay, well, I mean, I'm not going to say we're like super familiar with that, but I will say that when people come to the coaching program and we work with them, like somebody's asking in the chat box, like, are you assigned to an individual coach? Like, there's different levels of coaching. If you choose private coaching, yes, you get an individual coach. You text message with them on a daily basis. You call them once a week, and then you get all the benefits of large group coaching as well. The Facebook group. When you do private coaching, you can go to small group coaching. You get the whole package. But the point is, when this question you're asking is nuanced, is detailed, and it's important, but I'm willing to bet that when you come in the coaching program and you work with our team, that you won't be questioning whether it's like Lyme disease or something that's causing your blood glucose control to be bad. Like, we will likely solve that through other things that are happening. And then as a last resort, after the method has been implemented, if for whatever reason you're not getting the extraordinary results that we've promised, then we can look into these nuanced things that you're talking about. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is there something, just one question I have, is there something called fat metabolism resistance in patients or have had?
I'm sorry, I think you hit a button in front of you. You said fat metabolism resisting patients.
Yeah. Do you have that issue with patients that are holding strict to the program? Have you experienced that? An inability to metabolize the fat?
No, this is not an issue. People on our program, when you eat the whole foods on our program, all whole foods contain fat. It's metabolized just fine. On our program, if people eat avocados, they eat nuts and seeds in healthy amounts, they process that fat with no problem.
Okay. Well, this is good. I'm glad you sent me the link.
Cool. All right. Well, we look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you got it. Have a great night.
You too.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
All right, there you have it. Let's see here.
So maybe one or two more questions, and then we'll call it. How's that sound?
Okay, how about you pick a few more questions, and I'll make one more phone call. Looks like Chris put their phone number in.
Okay. Check the questions real quick. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the methods of intermittent fasting asked by Andrea? Okay, so yeah, Andrea, that's a good question. There's many ways to intermittent fast. There's hundreds and hundreds of ways. What we recommend is just sort of two ways to intermittent fast that are our favorites. The first one is a once per week 24-hour intermittent fast. So what that means is you just choose one day of the week where you're not likely to be very active, and you do an intermittent fast on that day. So let's say it's Monday. You basically eat dinner on Sunday. You stop eating dinner. You stop eating when you're done with dinner, and then you basically fast until Monday at dinner. What that means is that you only really have to skip breakfast and lunch, and that's it. So if you do that once per week, it'll help you, get familiar with intermittent fasting and help you understand how your body is sort of behaving and reacting. How's your digestive system? How's your brain? How's your energy levels? How's your hydration during that 24-hour period? After you become familiar with that, we recommend transitioning to a 16-8 intermittent fast. The 16-8 intermittent fast is a daily fast. So every day you fast for 16 hours and you only eat during an 8-hour window. It's not that big of a deal. You literally just skip your breakfast. So if you skip breakfast and you started eating at 12, you could then basically eat from 12 to 8. If you did that on a daily basis, then you have an 8-hour window of eating and then a 16-hour window of not eating. And by doing that, we've experienced people get some pretty dramatic results. They end up dropping weight faster. So if you're trying to lose more weight, it might be a better technique. They also find that it's actually not that challenging to do. They get better blood glucose results, better fasting results. Better fasting blood glucose results, better cholesterol reductions. And it's something that it seems to be sort of mentally challenging, but physically very not that difficult. So if you're new to intermittent fasting, start with a 24-hour and then migrate to the 16-8 and report back.
Cyrus, what about exercise on a fasting day?
Yeah, don't recommend exercising on a fasting day. Unless you're an absolute pro and you've fasted 30, 40, 50 times and you really know how to do it. I do not recommend exercising on a fasting day because especially if you're living with diabetes, especially if you're living with insulin-dependent diabetes, or if you're taking oral diabetes medication, your blood glucose can dip, and it can dip to a dangerously low level, and I don't want that for you.
Perfect. Okay, guys, this was fun. Got 156 of you still left in the room. Awesome to spend a Friday night with you. And we look forward to working with you, whether that's through the DIY program, any of our coaching options. You have until Sunday to take advantage of the coaching program being open, and your discount for the DIY expires on Wednesday.
It's been fun. I've had a good time tonight. Thanks for getting here. If you want to watch the replay, we'll send that out in a little bit, and hope you guys have a great evening.
All right. See ya.
Talk soon.